It's Thursday, January 29th, 2026, and it's official. We've got a bomb cyclone on the way, potentially impacting millions of you with heavy snow and strong winds. This is no longer a possibility we're tracking. This is a confirmed major weather event that's going to unfold over the next few days. The models have locked in on a solution, and what we're seeing develop is absolutely incredible from a meteorological standpoint. So let's talk about it because everyone in the impact zone needs to understand what's coming their way. All right, so the signal we've been watching all week is now official. I think we can very clearly say that a major coastal storm is going to form off the southeast coast this Saturday. The headline here is going to be bombogenesis. I know we talked yesterday about how that sounds a little hyped up, but it's absolutely real. Bombogenesis is a legitimate meteorological phenomenon. It occurs whenever a low pressure center rapidly drops at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. It's just a sign that the storm is going to get excessively strong in a very short period of time. What usually happens with bombogenesis is somebody gets absolutely hammered with snow and wind. What's going to be different about this one versus our last storm is the wind component. We're going to see a real blizzard somewhere, potentially in the Outer Banks of the Carolinas, which is pretty incredible, but also the potential is there for the Cape Cod area to experience similar conditions. We're going to see this low forming off the Georgia and South Carolina coast early Saturday, intensifying rapidly Saturday night, and then passing just southeast of Cape Cod by Sunday morning, so it's going to move pretty quickly once it intensifies. That's why on Saturday into Sunday, we have an enhanced risk of at least moderate winter storm impacts from Columbia, South Carolina up to Asheville, over to Greenville, and yes, Richmond and Virginia Beach. You are included in this enhanced risk zone. Charlotte and Raleigh are also in there. There are actually quite a few people in this purple zone. If you are one of those people, get ready for significant snow. This is not going to be an ice problem. It's not going to be a freezing rain or sleet problem. This is going to be a pure snow event. Then as the storm travels up the coast between Sunday and Monday, our risk area gets a little farther off the coast, but there are still places that will see snow and impacts from this system. We're talking about potential flurries and coastal flooding from Washington, D.C. all the way through the entire state of Delaware, and then New Jersey and New York City will get in on some of that action as well. The real heavy snow might be possible over in extreme southeastern Rhode Island, of course Cape Cod. It's possible that Boston sees some snow, but the worst of it is definitely going to be from Cape Cod up to down East Maine and then up into Canada. Here's a thin band of snow around 10 a.m. Friday morning forming over eastern Kentucky and western Virginia. This is going to be the first step of what will eventually become our multi-phased major storm system. Watch how that turns into moderate snow over the northwest side of the Appalachian Mountains. All of our moisture starts showing up on the southeastern side of our developing low pressure system. Then boom! We've got ourselves a full-blown storm system by Saturday at 10 a.m. We've got heavy snow back in northeast Georgia, extending into the higher elevations of North Carolina, northwest South Carolina, and eastern Tennessee. We've also got moderate to heavy snow starting to form in the Piedmont region. The European model shows a major burst of snow across the entire state of South Carolina. By 7 p.m. Saturday, we've got multiple places potentially seeing more snow than they've experienced in quite some time across South Carolina. Notice how we also have that snow breaking out into southeast Virginia, southern portions of Maryland and Delaware. That storm is just getting really strong off the coast, potentially provoking blizzard conditions along the Outer Banks by 7 a.m. Sunday morning. This is going to be incredible to witness. 30 to 50 mph winds ripping along the Carolina coast, causing coastal flooding while it's also snowing heavily at the same time. This 968 millibar low pressure center is similar to a Category 2 hurricane in terms of intensity. So this is going to be an absolutely wild storm. It would be one of the greatest storms of all time that we all remember if it were just positioned a little farther to the west. If this thing was hitting the I-95 corridor between Washington, D.C. up to New York City through Boston, this would be one of the all-time greats. But it is going to be a quite memorable storm, and depending on how much snow falls, maybe even a somewhat historic storm for the Carolinas. Once again, watch those winds ramp up significantly. We're talking about 40 to 50 mph wind gusts back on the western side of that low pressure center as it forms up near Alabama and Georgia. We're going to be talking about some incredible winds, potentially over 80 miles per hour over the water near the Outer Banks on Saturday evening. But even over land, we're talking about 30 to 40 mph gusts around Charlotte and Raleigh. This is just going to be quite the powerful storm. Look at this. 100 mph winds are possible over the water just off the Carolina coast as we get into 5 a.m. Sunday. This is going to be a pretty windy storm even up toward the northeast. Of course, some of those 50 to 70 mph winds are also going to hit the Cape Cod area. Places further inland like Richmond, Virginia, I don't see huge winds. I think 30 to 40 mph wind gusts are going to be your biggest problem in Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond up to Washington, D.C. But the closer you are to the coast, the more likely it is that we're going to see those strong winds. Of course, that's going to cause a coastal flooding problem as well. Put all this together, and over the next 3 days, we're going to have major travel implications in the red area. We're talking about places like Rock Hill and Bennettsville, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Fayetteville, Goldsboro, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, Elizabeth City. There might even be some places that experience extreme impacts on the roads and in your daily life over in eastern North Carolina. It has been a long time since anybody over there has seen anything like this. Don't be out on the roads. Be prepared. It's literally going to be a blizzard. No matter whether we get 3 inches of snow on the ground after this is all said and done or 15 inches, it's going to be a blizzard while it's happening. You're not going to want to be outside. You're not going to want to be out dealing with that as the storm moves through. All right, so how much snow are we talking about here? Let's zoom in and talk about everywhere, but let's start down in the bullseye zone in the Piedmont region of the Carolinas. Right now, the national blend of models, which is a conservative blend of all the models put together, is nice to look at. Sometimes it's actually a very good model to follow because it's better to take an average of all of them, right? This is showing 4 inches in Columbia, 6 inches in Charlotte, 6 inches in Asheboro, 8 inches in Raleigh, and 13 inches in Kill Devil Hills, maybe 10 inches in Greenville, 6 inches in Richmond, 11 inches in Virginia Beach. But here's something I need to say for Raleigh specifically. 8 inches might be on the high side because we've got to be thinking about the risk for dry slots. There's going to be 2 storm systems that's going to be hitting Raleigh, essentially. To put it very simply, we're going to have a low pressure center or major bomb cyclone forming off the coast. That's what's going to really put snow onto Raleigh potentially, but the heaviest snow axis for that is probably going to be right along the coast. But then there's going to be a messy low that forms back west of South Carolina, and that's going to bring in some heavier snow in the interior areas. What might happen is while these 2 low-pressure systems are working in tandem with each other, they might steal moisture away from Raleigh. There might be a dry slot that ends up forming that produces less snow for all the areas in the middle, including Columbia, Charlotte up to Raleigh, maybe even Richmond, and then actually puts down more snow on the periphery. I wouldn't be surprised if some places got more than 11 inches in eastern North Carolina in this situation, but this is just one of the many things that could happen. I think looking at this blend is a nice average. It's very possible we see 8 inches of snow in Raleigh. I'm just trying to prepare you for what could potentially cut down on those totals. Now I think down on the Delmarva Peninsula, we have a pretty good chance of seeing 10 inches of snow around Salisbury. I think closer to 7 inches of snow is possible there. I know a lot of people in the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area were concerned. We don't want any more snow over here. But anywhere from Lexington up the I-81 corridor over to Hagerstown to Washington to Baltimore, this whole zone, I think a general 1 to 3 inches is a good safe bet. I think in Philadelphia we might see closer to 2 to 4 inches. But if you're in southeast New Jersey, Atlantic City, for example, could see up to 8 inches of snow. I think that's on the high end, but it is possible. 4 inches is possible in New York City, maybe a little bit more than that out on Long Island. The one place where I'm pretty sure we're going to see a tremendous amount of snow is Cape Cod. 15 inches might be on the low end out in Cape Cod as the storm goes by. This is also going to be a place where we have a major blizzard with hurricane force winds, so get ready for it. 7 inches in Providence and Boston might be on the high end of things. I think it's going to be a very sharp cutoff between who sees snow and who doesn't. The one thing that's not great about the blend of models is it blends and smudges things together a little too much. I do think we'll have a sharper cutoff. 7 inches of snow is possible on the high end for Boston. Then down East Maine, a widespread 2 to 4 inches is going to be possible. Maybe 3 to 6 inches over in extreme eastern portions of Maine. Nova Scotia, Halifax, you guys are going to get absolutely buried with over a foot of snow, and you're going to have that major blizzard as well with hurricane force winds. Now, let me show you something incredible. We're going to have Gulf effect snow. You know how we have lake effect snow in the north? Well, it's so cold after the storm goes by that we're actually going to have Gulf effect snow in Florida. This is real. We might actually see snow in Tampa. Literally, a coating of snow is possible in Tampa by the time this is all said and done. We're going to see snow flurries potentially around Orlando, Jacksonville, Daytona Beach. Some models are even showing the possibility for very light snowflakes in the Bahamas, which would be the first time this has happened since the 1970s. The winter of 1977 was pretty incredible. That was the last time we had snow in the Bahamas. It is possible we see snow in the Bahamas as a result of this storm system. The reason for this is our unrelenting cold. Sunday morning is going to be really cold across Florida. Our actual temperature is going to be 23 degrees in Tallahassee, 21 in Stark, 35 in Tampa. The wind chills are going to be 10 degrees below that. It's going to be dangerously cold. This is not just sweater weather. We are looking at a hard freeze likely for the Nature Coast, and freezing temperatures potentially reaching as far south as the interior suburbs of Tampa and Orlando Saturday night. The National Weather Service in Tampa is calling this extremely hazardous for marine interests and dangerous for vulnerable populations. Once again, the wind chills are going to bring the feels-like temperatures down into the single digits in northern Florida. It's been quite a while since it's been that cold, so get ready for it. It's also going to be cold for the rest of us. We're talking about a low of 23 in Dallas. 20 in Oklahoma City Sunday morning. How about 2 degrees in Indianapolis? And of course, our friends back in the area is still dealing with power outages. There are still people without power. Unfortunately, I've got another update for you on the death toll from our most recent storm. It's over 100 now, which makes that the most deadly winter storm and cold outbreak since the major power crisis in Texas. The death toll continues to rise. It's really bad out there. We've got storm chasers and volunteers down there right now helping people out. It reminds me of the aftermath of a hurricane in some of these areas. People don't know what to do. It's bad. The good news is that power is being restored. I think many places will be back online today. But the bad news is the cold keeps coming. Sunday is going to be really cold in Memphis, Nashville, Oxford, 12 degrees. So get ready for that. It's going to be even colder in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley. We're talking about negative temperatures in upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, up into Toronto, Montreal, and Quebec. Is any warmth on the way? Yes. For some of us in the north central United States, the Great Plains, even portions of the South, it's coming over the next 10 days. But it's not coming for us on the East Coast. There's no end in sight with the cold air. Things might get a little more normal closer to the Mississippi River Valley, but the below average temperatures are likely to continue for the East Coast for the foreseeable future. This will eventually flip, but we're not seeing that anytime soon. As of right now, it's looking like we might go live Saturday. So make sure you hit that like button and turn notifications on. That's pretty much all the weather analysis I have for you today. I do appreciate everyone for watching and sharing these videos, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.